Over the last half a decade, I have noticed a rising desire in journalists and politicians to censor forms of expression in video games that are normal and accepted modes of expression in any other form of media. Video games offer a plethora of different styles of interactions to the player. You can play games like Grand Theft Auto, in which the visceral violence towards police officers, prostitutes, and the general public can be quite inappropriate at times. There are so many games out there whose entire point of the game is in fact killing NPCs or other players playing the game. The majority of these games revolve around war, but there are other games that revolve around activities that are set in a more urban environment. And it seems like every week I see some news outlet, publication, or politician coming out against the portrayal of violence in the video game medium. With the recent controversy surrounding the game Rape Day that was put up for sale on Steam and Amazon, I'm beginning to question why these things are so controversial. Rape is an important thing. It is something that does in fact exist in every society currently and in existence, and every society that has ever come before us. The glorification of it is something to be disdained and abhorred. The makers of the game Rape Day should not receive our money, respect, or anything other than disdain and awareness of what type of horrible human beings they are. Why then is violence against women, sexual assault of women, and large amounts of graphic violence so toxic that these topics shouldn't be touched by video games, and that they are aggressively represented in all other forms of media? Turn to any hardcore rap album or death metal genre song and you will hear all the evil acts that we are currently discussing being spoken of and sung about regularly. Music, I would argue, is a much more subtle influencer of people's thoughts and mindsets. Moving on from music to movies, the most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my 36 years of life was in the remake of The Last House on the Left in 2007. I walked into the living room that day and my roommates had just started watching the movie. I sat down thinking I would watch some with them, and the opening rape scene of that movie took place. I got up and walked out halfway through the scene. I was sick to my stomach, and I am sick to my stomach anytime I think of that movie. I have never seen something so evil in my life. Roger Ebert was quoted as saying, "So now my job as a film critic involved grading rape scenes. I do not think I can." New York Post critic Kyle Smith wrote about the movie, "Those who see the world through a feminist, I would especially be outraged, because it involves a visceral, genuinely terrifying rape scene." Lastly, the genre of literature is probably the most guilty of the glorification and representation of violence in all its forms. Books like Blood Meridian, Piercing, American Psycho, 2066, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, Butcher Boy, The Wasp Factory, The Clockwork Orange, Titus Andronicus, and many others represent historical precedent, allowing an obscene amount of violence towards all people into the realm of literature as a simple and normal expression of art. In Titus Andronicus alone, there are scenes where her hands are cut off and her tongue cut out, and the two men proceed to mock her before her uncle finds her and rescues her. Oh, but later her father kills her because that's what you do with daughters who have been raped. There's also the part where Titus kills two sons and has them baked into pies and then fed them to their family members. This is written by one of the greatest English literary heroes, William Shakespeare. So after reviewing a simple yet convincing case for why there is a double standard applied to video games that is not applied to the rest of the media, you may ask yourself why this is the case. As with almost all things, where is the money going and where is the money coming from? According to Deadline.com, the global total for box office revenue in 2018 was $41.66 billion worldwide. According to the IFPI, 2018 was the third consecutive year of growth after 15 years of revenue decline in the record music industry. With 2018's numbers not yet finalized, we can look at 2017 numbers and draw a conclusion. The revenue totaled $17.3 billion annually in 2017 worldwide. What, might you ask, was 2018's revenue number for the video game industry? According to Newzoo.com, the global games market reached an excess of $137 billion in 2018. The corporations that have dominated media for the last 4 decades are feeling this great threat to their vast monopoly. While there are many facets to the threat of their control over media that have been brought about by the advent of the internet, the rise of the video game market is chiefly among them. So next time you see news pieces about violent video games or hear some politician talking about how video games are destroying society, remember, these problems existed well before the video game. Video games are not even the most graphic representation of these problems, and the censorship of video games will not make them go away. Evil always thrives in the dark. Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that like button. If you'd like to hear more of it, hit that subscribe button. Till next time.